Hello and welcome to What's That Behind You. In today's video, we're going to be having a look at 5 of the most reportedly haunted places around the world. If you know of any more, let me know down in the comments below. But for now, let's start with a small disclaimer. Before we begin, I apologise for any mispronunciation of any of the places. English is my first language, so we may end up getting something wrong. Number 1. Eastern State Penitentiary, Pennsylvania, United States. Eastern State Pen is widely regarded as one of the most haunted locations in America. Built in 1829, Eastern State Penitentiary is a former prison in Philadelphia. It's known for being the first prison of its kind to introduce solitary confinement, or what they used to call the Pennsylvania system. Prisoners were sent to solitary during this time as a form of rehabilitation. They would be completely isolated, living alone, eating alone, and even exercising alone in their yards. Whenever an inmate left his cell, a black hood would be placed over his head to assure he remained in confinement. Due to the Eastern State's harsh approach, many prisoners were driven to insanity, and as a result, the Pennsylvania system was scrapped in 1913. From then until 1970, it was used as a regular prison and held the likes of Al Capone and the bank robber Willie Sutton. Reports of the paranormal have been going on since 1940, but ever since the Stone Prison was abandoned in 1971, paranormal experiences have seemingly increased. The reports include shadowy figures that seem to quickly turn away when approached, a dark figure that is occasionally seen in the guard tower. An evil cackling is heard coming from cell block 12. Shadowy figures have been seen sliding down walls in cell block 6. Ghostly faces have been witnessed in cell block 4. And strange sounds, such as disembodied footsteps, distant talking, and banging of cell doors have also been heard. Number 2. Monte Cristo Homestead, New South Wales, Australia. The historic Monte Cristo Homestead in Junee, New South Wales, is regarded as the most haunted location in Australia. Its reputation stems from several tragic events that have occurred there since it was built in 1885. From its construction up to 1948, the Crawley family owned and resided in the property. During this time, the family witnessed many deaths, including the tragic death of a young child who was dropped down the stairs. A maid to the family is also believed to have fallen from a balcony, and a stable boy burned to death on the property. Along with this, a mentally ill man named Harold, the son of one of the caretakers, was chained up in the caretaker's cottage for 40 years. He was found curled up next to the body of his dead mother and sent to a mental institute, where he died shortly after. The tragedy doesn't end there with the Crawleys. After the house was left in 1948, it was taken over by a group of caretakers, one of whom was murdered in that very same cottage. Number 3. Castle of Good Hope, Cape Town, South Africa. The Castle of Good Hope in Cape Town, South Africa, was built in the 17th century by the Dutch East India Company. It's the country's oldest colonial building, originally serving as a replenishment station for ships passing the treacherous waters of the Cape. The first reported paranormal occurrence was when an apparition of a tall gentleman was seen in 1915 on one of the castle's ramparts. The man wasn't seen again until 1947, when he was seen regularly over 2 weeks. He would be seen jumping off the side of one of the castle walls and walking between the bastions, Leerdam and Orange. One of the most popular stories associated with the castle involves the former governor Peter Gisbert van Nood. He died on 23rd of April 1728, the same day he had sentenced 7 soldiers to death after they were caught attempting to desert the military. It is believed one of the soldiers placed a curse on him and demanded he come to watch the execution, which he didn't. Later that day, Van Noot was found dead, slumped over his desk with a look of terror on his face. Another famous haunting is the Lady in Grey. She has been witnessed running through the castle, holding her face and crying hysterically. However, since a woman's body was found during recent excavations, her ghost hasn't been reported. Sometime in the 1700s, a soldier was found hanging from the bell rope in the bell tower, which overlooks the entrance of the castle. After his death, the bell tower was sealed off. However, the bell has been known to strike of its own accord to this day. There is also the ghost of a black dog, who has been known to pounce on unsuspecting visitors, then vanish into thin air. Number 4. Ancient Ram Inn, Gloucestershire, England. Built in 1145, it is believed to be the most haunted house in the entire British Isles, and perhaps the most haunted house in the world. The tales of child sacrifices, devil worship, and evil spirits are behind the terrifying happenings in this building. The inn was built on the intersection of 2 ley lines, which many people believe is a conductor for spiritual activity. In addition, an ancient pagan burial ground is said to have resided in the property over 5,000 years ago. During its time as a bed and breakfast, people would often flee in the middle of the night, often seeing full-bodied apparitions in their rooms, the feeling of being touched or pulled, disembodied voices, and the general sense of evil. John, the previous owner, now deceased, of the Ram Inn, reported that on his first night in the house in 1968, he felt a presence grab his arm, before being dragged out of bed and across the room. John has since found evidence of devil worship and ritual sacrifice. He also found 2 child skeletons underneath the staircase, as well as broken daggers. Owners and visitors continue to experience hauntings and attacks to this day. Number 5. The Island of Dolls, Mexico. The Island of the Dolls is a popular tourist attraction located in the canals near Mexico City. It is undoubtedly one of the strangest haunted locations on our list. In the 1950s, Julian Santan Barrera moved to the island, despite being married to a young family. Julian was unaware of the area's dark history when he moved there to become a hermit. Legend says 3 young girls were playing near the water in the 1920s, when one of the girls fell in and drowned in the murky waters. Locals believed that the young girl's spirit had been unable to leave the island ever since her death. It soon grew quite a reputation as a haunted place, and the locals wouldn't go near it at night for fear of what they might see. Julian claimed that a little girl began speaking to him as soon as he moved on the island. The girl told Julian how she had died and was trapped on that island. He began to get dolls for this little girl, often selling off fruit and vegetables that he had grown on the island to buy old dolls for her to play with. Julian later told his nephew that it was becoming more difficult to appease the young girl's thirst for these dolls, with him seemingly worried that she wanted him to join her in her watery grave. The same day he had that discussion, his nephew returned to the island when he found his uncle face down in the canal. His body was in the same spot where the little girl had drowned 70 years before. Today, tourists to the island often speak of the doll's eyes following them. Others have also reported that the mutilated dolls whisper to them, especially at night. Julian's ghost is also said to have remained on the island, as well as the young girls. What did you think of our list? I know for future videos I'm going to cover a few of these in depth, but tell me one thing. Have you ever heard of any of these? Do you know of any more incredibly famous haunted sites? Let's talk about it down in the comments. But for now, no matter where you are in the world, or however present that shadow lurking in the background may be, just remember, you don't have to be afraid of what's behind you.